Mm-hmm. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mindset Monday. This is December 9th, 2024. I almost forgot what day it is and what month it is because the year has just slipped by so fast. Welcome to another episode of Prepare for Your Wealth, and we are delving into the season of gratitude. And today we have a special guest who will be sharing her story, sharing her gratitude with us, and how we can be grateful in spite of what we have gone through. The operative word is gone through or going through. We are not stuck. We go through seasons and we navigate through things, but ultimately we are able to be grateful during, in the midst of, and at the end of. So, gratitude is one powerful ingredient that can get us through anything and everything in this life. In previous episodes, we talk about how to get through life, how to get through your purpose. 80% is gratitude, 16% is preparation, and 4% is the actual doing the work. So, in spite of what we go through, in spite of how things may seem, gratitude plays an important role in the scheme of things. And today we have this wonderful guest who will be sharing with us how gratitude has played an important, a pivotal role in her life then and now. And it's none other person than Heather McKoy. I am so excited to have her. And she is not only a resilient person, she's my personal friend, but she also is director of Partners Interventional Center in the island of Jamaica. And she will share many other things. This is just a little tidbit as to what I will share, but she will share much more. Heather, I'm so excited to have you here with us, and I am honored that you were able to come and share your heart with us today.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for the invitation to share with you and your listeners this evening. I'm looking forward to a very exciting discussion and presentation. So, thanks again for this opportunity.
Awesome. And for some of my listeners who did not see the episode that you joined me many months ago, would you
Mhm.
mind sharing a little bit about yourself before I start asking you questions?
You're really pulling me out of my shyness today.
Yes.
um, my name is Heather McKoy, as was stated before. I am the mother of two beautiful, well, I was about to say girls, but they're actually young ladies, who are also friends of Miriam. We kind of grew up together. Um, what can I say? I have been, I think my life is quite unremarkable in some regards. Um, I've, I mean, up until when I was about maybe 25, 26, it was pretty average. You know, you grow up, you go to high school, then you go on to your tertiary education and you start working and stuff. You get married and you have the kids and so on. When my younger daughter was about two and a half, almost three, um, do I start my story here, Miriam? I don't want to jump.
Just give a little bit and then I jump in and ask you questions. So it can
But let
go.
me tell you more about my work life and so on, so that I don't preempt the anticlimax of this story.
Are nice.
Uh, I can tell you how I met Miriam. As a teenager, really, because we were both pretty young. We started at a very popular retail chain in Jamaica, and we just happened to, when we think back now, we thought we were just flung together because we were so young. We couldn't handle the competitiveness of the sales floor. So we were put in an area where we sold carpet and rugs, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where we met. Our job every day was to sort the carpets, to accept quotations uh, from our clients, and to process them. So we had to learn pretty quickly how to work out square feet and all of that, because some of our clients were commercial clients that wanted quite a bit of carpeting for their industrial space or their commercial space. So some days it was a pretty boring job. And so we got to know each other quite a bit, because when you have done all you can do in terms of work, and even when you're rolling rugs and carpets and so on, there's time for you to really get acquainted to your with your coworker. And that is where our bond started. And it just grew from there. We both went through different stages of our jobs. We both eventually went into management. Um, she in customer service and me in customer service somewhat. At that time, I had moved from managing a branch to being the consumer charter manager. Now, people may ask, what is that? Um, to explain it, it's really a consumer advocate, and at the time, we needed it in our company to do a bit of customer service training and to really have somebody who could liaise with the media and persons outside of the company who may have had questions, complaints, and even accusations sometimes. So sometimes it was really, really a hot seat. A lot of the times, both Mira and myself would come under fire, and I mean literal fire. When you have irate, anybody who's from the Caribbean, when a Caribbean customer becomes angry, it can
Mm.
get pretty, sometimes physical, sometimes very abusive. And the both of us had to endure quite a bit of that. I think we both had customers who jumped on our desks. We both had customers who, were so upset that they said things that we know they didn't mean, but at the time it was quite terrifying to two very young, almost immature young ladies, very naive young ladies. But again, we bonded over that. We prayed over it sometimes because it really was a frightening situation to deal with. But that was our job. It was customer service. And we grew quite a bit and matured quite a bit from them, because we learned how to control our emotions, how to calm down somebody without saying, please calm down. You don't do that in customer service. Um, I think we learned, as I said, quite a bit. And along the way, earned a lot of respect from people who we didn't expect. Some of them are superior, some of them are co-workers, some persons who reported to us because of how we handle the situation. And that just taught us that you never know who is looking. You never know who is looking on, and sometimes admiring you, sometimes criticizing you. But you always have to be your best self, you know? I mean, I've heard this saying that integrity is what happens when you think nobody is looking. So you're not putting on a show, it's your true self. And that's what people see. They can see beneath you trying to act and be somebody that you're not. And I think that's one of the reasons why we were so good at our jobs, you know. Um, but we both expanded from there. I moved further up the courts ladder. I was there for quite a while, almost 20 plus years. Miriam eventually left me. She just went away and left me there. Um, but it was part of our journey. We always call or that place where we worked a university. both because we started so young. That was one reason. We started so young in the job, like a lot of our co-workers. People started straight out of high school. So
Mhm.
you were 18, 19, 20, and your first job. And we just grew up together. So all the lessons, the corporate lessons, um, and how to deal with people both at an executive level and how to deal with clients from all walks of life. We certainly learned how to deal with that and how to navigate different situations. Um, Eventually, I gained the rank of regional manager, and then went on to help to, a bit of diversity when that retail chain took on another chain. Um, and I was given the opportunity to grow that branch from two branches to nine when I left. And that was an, when you talk about being grateful, that was such an excellent opportunity. It taught me a lot about entrepreneurship and things that I never thought I would learn. How to deal now with landlords and businesses and um, towns and corporations and councils. Those are the things that I was learning. Never expected that those lessons would have come in handy later on in life when I thought of going into business pretty much on my own. But those lessons have served me well, and I'm grateful for them. So now I am a director in a company that I helped to start that is very dear to my heart because it has to do with healthcare, which you will learn is a very special topic for me. And I think I will leave my introduction here.
So awesome. I chuckled because I you brought me way back, and I should be grateful standing right here now because I I remembered when that gunman came to kill me, and God just miraculously saved me. So there's a lot that I have to be great. And Heather, I did not remember that episode until you took me way back. Oh my
Yep.
goodness. It had to be God who brought me from thus far. And I guess He knew that I needed to be here. My purpose was not complete. So He just blocked that gunman from finishing me off. God is so wonderful. So, viewers, this is gratitude season. Mark you, we started the year with gratitude and starting something, continuing with something, and completing something with the climax of anything, gratitude. So when we look at the beginning of our life, do our journey, and now where we are, it's only gratitude that bring us this far because we haven't gone through a lot of good things all the time, but the good and the not so good experiences are part of our journey. So we are grateful for all of that. Now, for Heather. Heather has been a dear friend to me. She was my manager because she moved up the rank, but we were friends. When it's time for the management role, then of course she steps into that role. But outside of work, we are good buddies from then until now. And I'm so grateful that, you know, we can have friends in spite of where we have gone in life and we still remain friends. Now, can you share with us how your gratitude journey began, especially in the context of your recent health challenges?
You know, we use the word gratitude so loosely, but it's such a big part of our lives. It's such a big part that the Bible has so many verses that speak about gratitude and thanksgiving, because thanksgiving is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes in the moment, we don't realize that what is happening is something that the circumstance or whatever it is you're going through, it's still something that you need to be grateful for and that you need to give thanks for. Um, it's just now that we're so much older that Miriam and myself looking back can say, we're grateful for what happened or we give thanks for what happened. When you're going through it in a moment, that's not what you're thinking.
Mhm.
Not at all. And I start the story by telling you how I had to learn to be grateful and appreciative and thankful for even the smallest things. And literally sometimes just sit and count my blessings. Um, because it's part of being healthy, honestly. When you find that you're grateful and you have a heart of thanksgiving and appreciation, you sleep better and everything just seems to fall into place for you. It almost seems like quote unquote luck, but we as Christians know there's no such thing. There's only blessing. I started by telling you that I have two girls. When my younger daughter was around 3, um, the job I had at the time as regional manager took me all over the island. So I was driving. Today I would be in Maypen. The next day I'd be in Sav or Black River. So it was a lot of driving. So a lot of leaving early in the morning. So when I came home in the evenings, it was always a mini celebration. So as soon as she would hear the car drive up, she would run to the gate and she'd jump and expect me to catch her. You know how kids are. And I found gradually that my arms would hurt, like ache, every time I would catch her and lift her up. I'm like, this is so weird. It's just this weird ache in my elbow, my shoulders, my elbows, my wrists. And I remember saying it to a colleague, and she's like, you need to be careful when you're driving not to turn the AC so that it's on your wrist, because maybe that's what's causing you to have this pain. And I never paid it any mind. Um, One day, a friend of mine called and she says, Heather, I have to do a surgery, an urgent surgery. She had fibroids and she had to remove them. So she needed blood. And I said, no problem. I'll give blood for you. It's not an issue. When I went to the blood bank, anybody who gives blood in Jamaica will be familiar with this. So if there's anything off, they call you into a little room and they count you,
Mhm.
right? Miriam nodding her head. So I'm very nonchalant and of course I'm just going to give blood. What could be such a big deal? The lady called me into the little room. I'm like, what? She said, I'm going to give you a slip and I need you to go to the doctor right away because there's something not right with your blood count and I need you to get it checked out. I'm like, this is 8 o'clock in the morning because I'm doing this before I go to work. I'm like, what? Anyway, I left kind of in a daze. I had to call my friend and say, boy, Karen, I can't give blood again because they gave me this slip and told me to go to the doctor. I don't know what's happening. So I went into work and I could not focus. So I went to the manager I reported and said, can I get some time to just go to the doctor? Um, I don't know what's happening, but I think I need to just go and put my mind at rest. And she said, okay. Um, when I went to the doctor a couple weeks after, she called and said, I got the result, but I don't like what I'm seeing. So I'm going to ask you to do the test again. And she told me which lab to go to this time. So she wanted me to go to a specific lab. I went and did the test. And she called me in again and said, I really need to see you because I'm not liking what I'm seeing. This happened over the course of maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I'd done the tried to give blood. And I got so sick. I got the flu. And it was a terrible, not a cold enough flu. This flu with fever and ache and whatever. And I could not get rid of this flu. I would take medication like, whatever medication I got, I'd take it throughout the day and I'd be fine. And then by 5, 6 o'clock, I had this high fever again. And I take medication and of course I fall asleep and I wake up in the night with this fever. So it's just on and off fever, achiness, headache, on and on. So when she called and told me to come in, I had to tell her that, boy, I'm really not feeling well. I can't come in right now. She said, I'm going to send you a prescription. And a referral rather, as soon as you get better, I want you to go and see this doctor. And when I asked around, like, who is this doctor that she's sending me to? Because it's some sort of specialist. It was a doctor who dealt with cancer, specifically leukemia, so blood cancers. So I'm like, what is happening? This is happening over, as I said, the course of 3 weeks. Anyway, I'm at home one day and feeling really, really awful. And a friend of mine came to look for me and he was saying, I hear you're not eating. Why are you not eating? You're going to eat for me today. And he went and he got just some fruits, tangerine, pawpaw, melon in a bowl. And sat and made me eat it. And it did not stay down. Everything came back up and started coming up and started coming up until he said, I'm going to call your husband. You need to go to the doctor. So he called my husband and explained what was happening. And I got dressed and he took me to our doctor. Not the same one I was seeing, somebody close by,
Mm-hmm.
because it was now urgent. Um, I was, by this time, Miriam, I don't know what was happening. I felt like I was in a dreamlike state, like I was waking up and falling asleep and waking up and falling asleep. And I felt when Barry lifted me out of the car and took me into the doctor's office. And I'm lying on the examination table. And I felt like I was looking down on myself on the table. I know I've never told you this part of the story, but
No.
yeah, I was like looking at myself on this examination table and watching the doctor examine me, talk to me. I'm not answering, of course, because by this time I guess I'm unconscious. And he just started suddenly making a lot of calls. And he says, can you take her? Can I send her to you? And he said, do I have to call an ambulance? And he's saying all of this. And my husband is panicking. And then he said, okay, you're going to take her straight up to the University Hospital, but go to the private wing. That private wing is called Tony Thwaites. You're
Yeah.
going to take her up to Tony Thwaites and you're going to ask for Dr. Scott. So he's sending me directly to a doctor. And I think he gave me something because, and I don't know what, maybe it was a drip because of course, I was dehydrated as well. But I was semi-conscious at this time. Um, and I went straight up to Tony Thwaites. They met me outside with the stretcher and everything, and I went into to Dr. Scott. Um, I went to the doctor without anything. He examined me and said he's gonna keep me overnight because he has to run some tests. Now, this is one thing to be thankful for. Where we worked, we had very good health insurance. And that is why the doctor was so confident to send me to the private wing. And when I don't remember who, oh, I had to call another friend of mine to say, can you go to my house and pack some stuff for me because I have to go to the hospital overnight. And then she called HR. So she came with my little bag, my overnight bag, and a letter from the human resources manager to say that Heather McKoy is an employee of Course Jamaica Limited, and her we will cover all expenses related to her illness. So that's how I got in. If that is not something to be grateful for,
Yes.
listen, as I tell you, you're going through and you don't, I never thought of it at the time. But if I never had that insurance, there's no way that the doctor would have seen me so quickly. And all the things that happened subsequent to that admission would not have happened so seamlessly. And that's because they were sure that they would have got their money.
Mm-hmm.
So after spending a week, because I didn't know what was wrong, after spending a week there, they sent me home and I had to do follow up with this doctor. So my first follow up, he says, based on all the tests that we have done, and let me tell you, every single test you can think of. I did an MRI, I did blood test, I did a spinal tap because I thought maybe it's meningitis,
Mm-hmm.
every kind of test. Because what was happening, my white cell count was so high that is why the doctor was sending me to see the cancer specialist because she thought it was leukemia. Um, and so they were doing tests to rule, basically to rule out stuff. So about a week after that, when I had my follow up, he told me that I had a disease called lupus, and he said the medical name, so systemic lupus erythema something,
Mhm.
meaning that I had systemic lupus and that it was affecting the systems within my body. Um, I know a lot of people don't know about lupus. You may have heard it. It's kind of more prevalent now than at the time when I had it, because I certainly had never heard of it. And I didn't know what it was. By this time, I'm out of hospital. My fingernails are black. My face is swollen because, in addition to that disease, I'm taking steroids. And anybody who has asthma or have any, yeah, you're ballooning, you're swollen like a balloon, you know? And then right across my face here, it started getting purple, like somebody slapped me. Just right across the bridge of my nose, all the way up here was purple. Eventually, it turned into like a butterfly. Don't know if anybody's ever heard. So lupus, I think one of the meanings is it really means wolf, but the mark of lupus is really that butterfly rash that you get across your face. And I had the rash, so it took about 2 weeks for it to show, and that's when he confirmed it's definitely lupus. I cried, you see. I didn't know what it was.
Your
I didn't know if it
ball.
was hereditary. My daughter is 3, the other one is 6. What does that mean? I'd never been so sick in my life. The steroids was really what stopped. And whatever else I got in the hospital, that eventually stopped the fever and the chills and so on. But I never knew that the steroids it was such a high dose, and it's an IV dose, that I didn't even recognize myself. My eyes were swollen, like it was just horrible. So even though I was feeling better, I couldn't go to work. I work, I am a front facing person for customers. How could I go to work looking like that? Um, but fast forward to that. So yes, I was diagnosed with lupus. And over the years, I had several what they call flares. So what a flare means is that I never really got the mark, the butterfly mark back. Eventually that faded. Let me tell you, I have to tell you this part of my story. So that mark that was purple turned a bright red, then eventually dark blue, and then black. Remember, it's all over my face. It's like
Mm-hmm.
covering my face now. And the doctor sent me to our dermatologist, and she's encouraging me to wear makeup to cover it. But the makeup can't cover it. Is so dark now.
Mm-hmm.
Makeup couldn't cover it. And one Saturday I'm at work because it's retail work on Saturdays, but I'm hiding because I don't want anybody to see my face. So I'm upstairs in my little cubicle just doing some work. And there was a customer who had an issue and she needed to speak to a manager, and I was the most senior manager there. And the lady took one look at my face with me with the makeup trying to cover it. I said, I don't want to talk to that lady. I don't want to talk to her. What's wrong with her face? And she went on and she forgot all about the reason why she needed to speak to a manager and was just going on and on about my face. I burst out in tears. I was
Oh
so
God.
embarrassed. And I packed up my bag. I just left her. I don't know what she did, but I just left. I couldn't deal with it because it was like the tipping point for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already going through it. Whenever I drop my kids at school, everybody come up, what is wrong with you? Why you face it like that? Why you put on so much weight? And the question, and then the not knowing exactly what lupus is, because nobody can explain to me what it is. you know every time somebody like an older person tries to explain, they say, Lord, you're going to get crazy because it affects your nerves. And I just heard the worst stories possible. So I left that Saturday and um, I went to, I had a lady who would do my eyebrows and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to, I called her actually. And I said, Faye, I don't know what to do. Can I come and do a facial? Because let me tell you, all of that makeup I was wearing, in addition to the mark, I also had blocked pores. You know,
Mm.
blocked pores give you
Yeah.
all these like acne all over my face. It was, I really did look horrible. I don't, I don't blame the lady, you know. Um, I probably was a sight. So anyway, I called Flo and she said, come, let me see what you're talking about. And Flo, when I walked in, Flo hugged me and she said, oh, never mind, we're going to fix it for you today. And she made me lie on her chair in her the area that she uses to treat her clients. And she just took her time and she whatever product she put on my face and she's just gently massaging my face. And I just felt like, you know, when somebody peel like one of those facial peels and they're
Mm-hmm.
peeling,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it felt like she was doing. And I felt like water just oozing out of my pores. It wasn't sweating out, just water.
Mm-hmm.
And she held up the mirror and she said, look what's happening. So she while she's doing this, the scab or the black mark that was there was peeling back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the pores were now opening. And so there was just water coming from the pores or from the area. Listen, see when she was finished, my face looked so different. That butterfly mark was gone. The all the bumps didn't go at the same time, but it was very, very reduced, you know. I felt like a new person. And we just the both of us, like we don't have no sense, hugging each other and crying
Mm-hmm.
because she understood what I was going through, you know. And there's so many other stories that I have, just people who I've crossed paths with, who have just been part of this journey that I've been on for the last, gosh, Miriam, 25 years,
Uh-huh.
quarter of a century, long time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who have just helped me. If you think that's the worst thing that could ever happen to you, one day my daughter turned, I think she was about 7 or 8, and we're at her party at McDonald's. And a friend of mine took a picture. And after the party, said, I'm going to show you something, but you need to see before you go to work tomorrow. When she showed me the picture, I had a bald spot here, and I didn't know. And she said, you need to, before you go to work tomorrow, you need to check that out. Because you know what? After that fiasco with my face, I could not go to work with a bald spot.
I'm laughing because
More tears, more tears. I'm like, what is happening to me? Anyway, early Monday morning, I called my hairdresser and I said, Debbie, I need to come. I don't know what's happening to my hair, but I need to come. So I went and she kind of fixed it and she said, if anything, you come back I don't know what she did, but she cut it some sort of way that I could comb it over and you'd have to be very, very fast to see
mm-hmm.
my bald spot. And I felt, okay, I can do this. It's about a Saturday. It was worse. Now the hair was falling out, like just on my pillow, there is hair. So I had to go back the Saturday morning and Debbie turned the chair around. I was facing the mirror this time. She put my back to the mirror and she said, I'm going to fix it the best way I can. And she said, close your eyes. And she started singing to me. And she cut. she had to cut off all of my hair.
And just to pause, and you had long hair.
Girl. And you know what I learned from that? Just those two, and mark you, as I said, you don't learn it at the time it is happening. But afterwards, looking back, you can't, your beauty can't be tied to just the external things that people see because anything can happen,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, but as I said, I just had people who I crossed paths with that just helped to make my journey so much lighter and easier. Let me tell you, when Debbie was finished with my hair and she blonded it up and she blonded my eyebrows and everything, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't fabulous. Even though we did cry together again because when she spin the chair, which is spun the chair on, I'm like, oh, where my hair? There was no hair, no hair, just fuzz like baby hair. But as I said, she made it look fabulous. And I had to own it. I had to own it. So I didn't go home. I went on the plaza and I walked up and down until I got used to it and I didn't think about it anymore. But I had to go about my day and face people and just be accustomed to it because guess what? Come Monday morning, I'm back on the sales floor. I have to face my coworkers and I have to face the customers. So I had to be comfortable in my skin. I
Mm-hmm.
had to own it so that when I walked in, I'm not walking with my head down and looking like I'm feeling some type of way. And I had to fake the confidence until I got it, you know. But I had to create this persona for myself. So I started dressing different. I started dressing up no matter what. I started wearing makeup, not a full face of makeup, but I didn't go anywhere without my lipstick and my eyeliner at least and my earrings. Um, because you already don't have a lot of hair and you already look weird because people are not used to seeing you without hair. So you have to make sure the rest of you give them something else to talk about. Wear a cute outfit. So before they say, where's your hair? They can say, ooh, I like that outfit. Or, ooh, I love those shoes. Or, wow, your nails look so fancy. Give them something else to talk about, you know? But that story that I told you with my hair, it repeated itself so many times in my life. Like every time I had a very bad flare and I had to take that IV steroid and other medication as well, my hair would fall off. So I just became accustomed to it. It didn't matter anymore. I just did what I had to do. So the last time it happened was 2022. I think Miriam saw me just before. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But by the December, again, I didn't have any hair. So, and you learn not to, well, I learned not to put stock in it and it's just a part of life.
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so people who didn't know my story just thought that, oh, Heather's going crazy again. She cut her hair again. Just one of those things. Um, Eventually, the lupus took a toll on me. Um, I went through, when you read a textbook about what lupus can do, I had most of those symptoms. Luckily, I haven't had any permanent scarring from it. Some people do, where even where that butterfly mark comes up, it never really goes away and they still have the scarring. So I'm grateful that even though my journey was rough, there are others who had it a lot worse than I did, you know? And I won't bore you with all the stuff. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot. You know that one time I couldn't even walk Luckily, the doctor that I went to, he was upstairs, but he had a chair, Miriam. So I get dropped off at the door and I have to ride the chair upstairs and then somebody would have to help me from the chair. So Barry would drop me off at the door, put me in the chair, walk upstairs, and when the chair came up, he would take me from the chair into the office. Couldn't walk. I was so weak, because I think at that point, I was taking um, a medication that they normally give to breast cancer patients. They were trying to, because it just got out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was affecting my kidneys. It was attacking my kidneys. And so the doctor was trying to, I guess, kill whatever was causing the attack on my kidneys. And it worked for a while because it slowed down the progression and um, you know, my kidneys getting destroyed. But eventually, I mean, over time, so every time I had a flare, um, it would get worse. It would get worse. So they can't do a biopsy every time because when they do a biopsy, they're taking a little piece of the kidney and testing it. Um, but you could see the effects of it. I
Mm-hmm.
remember once I was admitted to hospital and my blood pressure was so high. So that's one of the things that it does. It causes your pressure to be so high. And when your blood pressure is high, all your organs are under pressure. Your
Mm-hmm.
heart is under pressure. Your kidneys are under pressure. Everything is just out of whack. And I was in that hospital for 3 days and I didn't pee, didn't go to the bathroom. If I went, it's just a trickle. Couldn't even make urine. And I didn't realize that the longer I was there, the more swollen I was becoming. Because that's what
Mm-hmm.
happens when you have kidney failure. You just start swelling up. Um, so that's why I had to start in the hospital to take this medication. Again, washing my hair one day, and I'm combing out the conditioner, and I'm combing out my hair, combing out the hair and the conditioner. So I went back to Debbie, and she didn't. She just, here we go again, and we did what we had to do, and just kept it moving. You know, I think that time though, she had to shave it because she couldn't save any bit of it
Mm-hmm.
because it was just coming out in batches. So to even up everything, she had to shave it bald. So I think that time I did wear a wig because yeah, it wasn't cute. There was no hair to save, no hair to color or anything. So I think I wore a series of very fabulous wigs that another friend of mine made for me. But fast forward, so basically, as I said, each time I got a flare, the kidneys got a bit worse. Um, just recently in 2022, I came for a week or a week and a half to go to my younger daughter's graduation. And I was just out of sorts, just not feeling well. And it was May, but it was so cold. And I just felt the cold worse than everybody else. So that's another thing with lupus. You get extremely hot and
Mm-hmm.
you feel the cold more than anybody else. And I couldn't get warm. I just couldn't get warm. And I went to do my physical, which I do every year. Um, did the physical and went to the graduation. And I came home and I just fell into an exhausted sleep. So did the graduation, took her out for brunch and everything, had a great time. Still feeling out of sorts, but it's not my day. So I didn't say anything. Fast asleep at about 6 o'clock. So graduation was in the morning. Her grandma woke me up to say, I don't know, this number has been calling you all day and she says it's urgent. You have to take the call. So I woke up, raised myself and took the call. It was a doctor where I did the physical. She was calling to tell me, she said, Heather, listen to me very carefully. Go and have a shower, pack an overnight bag, Do you have somebody who can take you to the emergency room? I said, yes. She said, okay, you need to go right now. Go. Is somebody there who's going to take you? And I said, my daughter. She said, give her the phone and go and shower. So I gave Keisha the phone. Keisha's my younger daughter. And both of them are there, both Kiana and Keisha. So I told them, put her on the phone. And I just, in a daze, literally, went and took a shower. And they packed her bag for me. And we went to the emergency room. So we went to Northwell. My daughter, younger daughter, is working there as a nursing assistant. So because of that, people recognize her. So I kind of went through the system a bit faster than I normally would. When I got to the ER, the doctor is, asking me questions and so on. And then I think they don't know. I think the doctor who referred me, my GP, called and asked to speak to the attending. And I don't know what happened. Things just start happening around me. They had to take blood tests. They had to send for a team came downstairs to see me and everything. I can't even tell what was happening. It just got a little crazy, right? Luckily, because my daughter worked at a hospital, she was able to stay with me. But I didn't understand what was happening. I was rushed from the triage area to another area where they started taking more tests. It was just crazy that night. I honestly can't remember everything that happened. I only know that it was very serious. Um, by later that night, I was admitted to hospital. Um, they scheduled me to do a biopsy. They scheduled me to do a CT scan, I believe, at some X-ray, and they started me on steroids. Doctor came and said, "You seem to be having a lupus flare, but more importantly, your blood pressure is just sky high, and we're trying to control it." You know what happens when your blood pressure is too high, right?
Mhm.
Anything can happen.
Yep.
Um, Heart failure, stroke, any kind of cardiovascular event. Um, so I went through all of that, did the biopsy, and they said, well, your kidneys are in really, really bad shape. Um, if you have another episode like this, you're going to have to start dialysis because your kidneys are not doing well at all. They use some numbers. I don't remember what the number is, but whatever the lowest number is, I don't remember if it's 1 or 4. That's what I had. That
Mm.
means critical. So anything could set it off, and that would put me in kidney failure or renal failure. Um, Gave me a bunch of doctors to see. So I had to see the nephrologist, rheumatologist, all the ologists, a
Mm.
cardiologist. I had to see all of them because of the high blood pressure, and it would go down and then it kept going back up like some really really high numbers. Eventually, I was released. So as in not ICU but step down unit. So that's how critical it was. I had 24-hour observation and all of that. I couldn't get out of bed. They wouldn't allow me to walk around unless somebody was there walking with me. That's how bad it was.
And
Anyway,
just to pause a little bit, the comments are coming in, just loving on you. Queen Father King says, Heather, you have been through a lot. Thank God you trust in Him, assisted you through your journey. Continue to trust in the Lord.
amen, my
Um,
sister.
Queen Doris says, greetings, everyone. We love you. And then Veronica Powell, she said, great seeing you again, Heather. And God has kept you alive to share your story. This is an education for a lot of people. Enough blessings.
Thank you so much for your kind thoughts and your support and encouragement. Yeah, so I was released from hospital. Um, I was home. Of course, remember, I only came for a week and a half. I actually lived in Jamaica and I would go back and forth. I couldn't go home because I had all these appointments with the doctor, with all the different doctors, all the ologists that I had to see. Um, because the flare wasn't over. Even though they had released me, I was still going through the
Mm.
lupus flare. Another thing I had to be grateful for, my daughters were so supportive, and their grandmother, super supportive. She didn't understand because she's 80 years old. She didn't understand what was happening, but she was just so supportive. You know, she telling me, you need to drink bone soup, man. Bone soup is good for you, and all these things. So she's trying to make sure that I'm eating the things that she thinks I should be eating based on her knowledge and all of that. Um, so I'm there doing my visits and so on. I got COVID. Can you believe it? In the midst of all of that, I got COVID. Don't know how, don't know where. We didn't even know it was COVID, honestly. We suspect somebody might have brought it in the house, but I had it. It wasn't a very bad flare. Um, you know, we got tested and got the stuff from the pharmacy, and it was okay. And we figured everybody had recovered. And then I started feeling very strange. Had a cough, got a cough that wouldn't go away, had no energy. And I noticed that my daughter, of course, she just graduated as an RN. She's checking me, you know, like just more than she normally would. Like she suspected something wasn't right. And one day she said to me, I'm gonna take it to the hospital because I don't like what's happening. I was very sleepy, so I slept a lot. I didn't even realize I wasn't eating, but she noticed and she took me. Where I think we went to, did we go to Earth? No, she took me back to the hospital and they admitted me. It was actually the day before 2 days before my birthday. I ended up back in hospital. Um, so I spent my birthday in the hospital, did a series of tests again, chest x-ray to see, of course, how badly the COVID was affecting my lungs, and diagnosed me with pneumonia. When they admitted me, guess what? Steroids again. This is the second heavy dose of steroids
Mm.
within a few months. Um, and then I had to get my blood count had fallen. So it was below 7. So they said, you know what, you have to get some transfusions. Did a transfusion, and in the night, I just woke up not feeling well at all. And when I went to the bathroom, I was just holding on to the face basin because I just wasn't feeling well. And it's like the entire transfusion came back up.
Wow.
It was very scary because it's now, and you smell it, it's like, it smells like copper and it looks like ink. And I rang the bell to call the nurse. And I guess it was change of shift because I didn't come right away. But I made it back to the bed and I just sat on the bed because I'm waiting on the nurse to come. When the nurse came in, I said, I don't know what's happening. I don't feel right. And I explained to her what happened. I said, I'm so sorry, but I couldn't avoid making a mess. I'm apologizing because it splashed everywhere in the bathroom. She said, don't worry about that. How are you feeling? And she, you know, tidied me up and tucked me back into the bed. They were thinking it was a reaction to the transfusion. So I think I got Benadryl and other stuff. In the morning, eventually I fell asleep. In the morning, it happened again. Just as the nurse sat me up and she helped me to tidy myself and so on, I pointed to the waste paper bin. And again, like everything just came back up. And it scared her because, as I said, it's a color of ink. So she ran out of the room and I guess called the doctor. I don't know. Kind of not sure what happened. I just know they were moving me, transporting me to a different room. Um, Doctor came. This time they added a gastroenterologist because they now said I still had the other ologist, still had the cardiologist and nephrologist and all the other ologists. But now they thought that I was bleeding internally somewhere. So
Mm.
they wanted him to take a look to see what was happening. And then the a team came and told my daughter that, oh, we're gonna start your mother on dialysis. And my daughter's like, no, you're not. When did you have a discussion with her about this? Have you explained to her what it is and what's going to happen? You can't start it unless you have a discussion with her. And we had a standoff. Um, because of course they wanted to, yes, it may have been urgent, but you can't. I don't know if any of you ever or know anybody who has been on dialysis. This is for the rest of your life as far as you know.
Yep.
They have to put a tube in you to
Mm-hmm.
accommodate all of this. So just as a token of respect, just like when you get new medication and the doctor explains this is what the medication is for, this is how you're supposed to take it, at least that consideration we felt should have been given, just out
Mm-hmm.
of respect. And she said, until you have that conversation and she consents, she's not going to do any dialysis. So there was a standoff with the radiology team and my family. Anyway, um, the doctor, the no, not the doctor, I think the nurse practitioner in charge of the floor and some other high ranking people from the hospital came to have a discussion with me because I guess the radiology team complained, but I'm a patient, and the nurse practitioner felt that I had valid cause for not consenting to the treatment. So she came and she spoke with us to say what exactly happened. And we explained to her and says, okay, I'm going to send somebody up to have a discussion with you and then you can tell me. Mark, I really had no choice because by now my kidneys, they're in kidney failure. I was
Right.
in renal, proper, end stage renal failure. So the dialysis was to save my life.
Mm-hmm.
By this time now, let me just put in context for you. I went into the hospital weighing 140 pounds. When I left, I was 170 pounds. When they readmitted me, I was 175 and climbing. All of that was fluid inside of me. So there was really no choice. I had to do dialysis or else,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I had so many moments in that hospital when I felt like, yeah, this is it. I remember my brother came to look for me, my big brother, and he just sat there crying. Both my arms were swollen because I had drip in both,
Mm-hmm.
and I slept for the entire day. I don't think I ate anything. I was just in and out of sleep, or I wouldn't even call it sleep, just this semi-conscious state, because I could hear people around me, but I just couldn't open my eyes. And he just kept rubbing my foot and crying.
I'm going to pause there because we definitely need to get you back in order to get you through the climax of your story because this is so powerful. This journey of gratitude, and all through the journey, there were challenges, but of course, there are moments that you're grateful while you were going through those moments. And viewers, she will definitely be back to complete her story because this is just half of it. And I want you to be here when she finishes her story because when she returns, she will start from that area where she had to do dialysis up to this point. So we're going to pause. And as Heather paused today, and we'll be back with you to share how she has gone through her moments, her journey, and as she recovers, and share with others how you can still be in a challenging situation, but you are grateful for every moment of these challenges. Why? Because she had support, she had love, she had what she needed. God has provided all of this. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says, all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. Now, one might say, what is so good about that? No, it is good because it could have been worse. It is good because others have learned through what she has gone through. She has also learned to be more appreciative. She's always appreciative, but she has learned and she is now grateful for the persons that God has put in her life to share with. And Heather will be back next week for the first part of our program next week as she climaxes her story because it's one of triumph and you got to be here to hear it. Maxine Kane says, what a story, Heather. God has got your back. To him be glory and honor. Evelyn Jenkins says, hello, Queens. I had trouble logging on, but thank you. In the nick of time, you were able to log in. And for those who did not get a chance to see the live, you can watch the replay on Facebook and just be ready for next week when Heather returns to climax her gratitude journey. Heather, it's a wonderful pleasure having you today, and I'm looking forward to having you next week where you can share with our guest or share with our audience how gratitude has helped you through the journeys that you have been through. Thank you so much and looking forward to seeing you next week. Viewers, thank you for this another episode of Mindset Monday.